Let's talk.
John Brown.
In the footsteps of Marco Polo, exploring the old world in modern times. In 1961, Stanley Johnson, accompanied by two friends, set out from Oxford on two BSA 500cc shooting star motorcycles to follow Marco Polo's route from Venice to Beijing. They didn't make it that time. However, a few years later, Stanley set off again with his fourth son, Max, to finish the journey he started 62 years earlier, hopefully with the same roadmap. Delighted to say it's been put down in the book, In the Footsteps of Marco Polo. It's by Stanley Johnson. Stanley, welcome to Talk Radio Europe, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Lovely to be here.
So just explain for those who maybe don't know, because people say Marco Polo and they think it might be a sort of a playground game, but for those who don't know Marco Polo's roots and who he was, just give me the quick one if you could, please, sir.
Well, he was a Venetian. He set off with he went twice. He first went with his father and mother, his father and his uncle. He set off, I think, in 1171.
Yeah.
And it took him 3 years. It took him 3 years to get there. They went all over. The first time I started off, we followed him through Turkey, through Iran, through Pakistan, through Afghanistan, and we got as far as the Chinese border. But bearing in mind we were doing this in the Oxford long vacation, even though it was a long vacation for 4 months, it wasn't really long enough to get all the way to Beijing and back in time for the Oxford term. So we were running out of time by the time we reached the Chinese border. But more than that, we didn't actually have visas to get into China in 1961. There wasn't even a road in we were going in from Afghanistan. And so in the end, we diverted to India. We drove on down. By then, we were all three of us on one motorcycle. I was riding. I was about the only chap of the three of us big enough and strong enough to carry the three of us. And we went all the way down through the Khyber Pass, down the Grand Trunk Road to Calcutta, then back across the country and came back by ship from Bombay, just about in time for the Oxford term. Well, 60 years later, I kind of bumped into the Chinese ambassador in London. I told him this story. He said, well, you ought to really try and finish it off. And I've got to say that the Chinese were helpful. They did give us visas. And we had a wonderful collaboration. We made a film about it. And that film has gone out now in different countries. We even had a showing of the film in the Curtain Cinema in Mayfair, a sort of 90-minute version. There's actually a 3-hour version too. Anyway, tremendously good fun. Marco Polo himself, well, he eventually came back from Beijing because he stayed there 17 years. He became a kind of confidant of the great Khan. He even went to Kublai Khan, to Xanadu. Came back and got involved in a war between Venice and Genoa, was captured by the Genoans, and dictated this story. It's called A Description of the World.
When you set off in 61 with your friends, I mean, I know that you love Greece. Couldn't it have been easier to sort of do recreate the Odyssey or something and keep it sort of seabound and I know beautiful Greek islands than doing this? I mean, this is pre-hippie trail, Stanley. I mean, they must have thought that all three of you were completely balmy, sir.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Yes, it was a good adventure. We called ourselves the Marco Polo Route Project. We had powder blue helmets. We roared into sometimes they saw MPRP, Marco Polo Route Project. Is this sign for military police, road patrol or something like that? Well, no, it was good fun. But no, we certainly weren't hippies, but we were living off the land in the sense that we didn't have much money, and so most often we were, sleeping by the motorcycles or sleeping on, when you go through these countries, a lot of them sleep on the roofs at night. We did that, and obviously at the local grumble, that we did take a few package of Horlicks tablets. So I don't remember with us. Don't think you ever saw us Horlicks tablet nowadays. Might do. But anyway, it was good. It was good fun, and I've just written a book now called "In the Footsteps of Marco Polo," which, in a sense, takes the first trip and then takes all the time in between when I've been trying to get back to China and finish it off, and finally I do this route. It was in the summer of 2023 we finally finished it off.
And when you go back to those routes that you first travelled over in 1961, as something of a younger man, did your sort of muscle memory kick in? Were you able to compare? I mean, presumably, obviously the roads hopefully have got better, but some parts of your journey presumably are untouched by time.
No, you see, the route we did in 2023, we started off in May. Well, we picked up where I'd left off. You see what I mean? So I didn't retrace any of the journey I did in 1961. On the contrary, we flew into Chengdu and got ourselves to the Pakistan-Chinese border, which is pretty high up. It's over 5,000 meters at a place called Kunjarab Pass. And from there on, we went west to east, several thousand kilometers across the whole breadth of China, through the Gobi Desert, through the Taklamakan Desert, into Ningxia, Jiangsu, Mongolia. It was tremendous fun.
And you took Max with you as well. You dragged him along. What was his experience like that? Having to.
Well, Max had been an inveterate traveller himself, and when I say it wasn't as though he was a fledgling. He definitely wasn't. He was well over 35. I think he's over 40 now. Oh, I'd have to check this one out. He's 41, I think. He's 41 now. No, it was terrific having Mac aboard. He's actually based in Portugal at the moment. He's come back from Asia and is working from. I know you're not far away from what you are. You're on the way, or in the Iberian Peninsula anyway. And he was terrific because he's lived for many years in Asia, and he did his MBA degree in Tsinghua University, which is probably one of the most famous universities in China, and he speaks Chinese. He speaks Mandarin fluently. So it was a great asset to have Max for those reasons, if for no other.
Did you have a documentary crew with you, filming all the time? And if so, is that a bit of a problem? Yeah.
Well, we absolutely did. And there was a splendid crew and a splendid production company called One Tribe TV. Who were with us all the way, and it was a big scale operation. We had cameramen, we had sound men, we had transport, we had the Chinese very kindly provided two Toyota Land Cruisers, identical Land Cruisers, as a matter of fact, for wonderful. I recommend the Toyota. And of course, we've also got Land Rovers, but Toyota is the kind of vehicle you need. For this sort of thing. And yes, it was fantastically well organized. And actually, this film or a series of films is really worth showing. If you're involved with TV, get hold of it, Giles. It hasn't come out in Spain yet.
When you finished it and you looked back, was there a moment that you almost sort of felt that you were that young man again because you'd finally done what you'd set out to do? I mean, was there a moment of contemplation and looking back?
Well, of course, there is a fact. Well, two, I think. I mean, one, when you finally get to the Forbidden City in Beijing, which is where the Khan, of course, was in the winter time. And, they're amazing. It seemed to clear the whole place for us. So Max and I were there. That was one. But then also coming to Xanadu, which we did on the way there. For me, as having, read English at Oxford as well as classics, Xanadu was pretty evocative. And it was very evocative to get there because this is a place which really is almost... It hasn't changed since it was destroyed, if you see what I mean. It was sacked by the the Chings or the Mings. I always get muddled. Always get muddled. Mings, I think, if I'm looking for. And nobody rebuilt it. Nobody built over it. So when we were there, the archaeologists were saying, and this is where the temple of the summer palace of the great Khan was, and so on and so forth. So that was quite a moving moment too. There was some good. I'm just finishing that journey. I think probably fair to say that I'm one of the few people who've actually tracked the whole of Marco Polo's route all the way from. Well, in this case, he started in Venice, so we were definitely in my first trip. We were definitely in Venice at a wonderful moment when we were being entertained by the mayor of Venice on our first round. He said, "I've got a present for you guys," and it was a voucher for 100 litres of petrol. Well, that got us all the way to Istanbul.
Or Constantinople, if you will, really. But obviously the Venetians and Constantinople have got a bit of a history, so perhaps we don't go down that route.
Well, I don't think it was called Constantinople in 1961. No. It certainly was called Constantinople right up until, I think right up until 1922. I have a feeling it changed its name then. I could be wrong about that, by the way. But no, I think it became Constantinople with the new regime.
Indeed. What the book itself is it an easy write for you, or did you find it great fun to?
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was an easy write, but it also required a bit of effort. An easy write, in the sense that I got all my material from my first trip back in 1961, which I was able to use. And then as far as the second part, that's to say, starting in the Himalayas and going all the way over 8 weeks later to Beijing, well, I did have the advantage of the films, and I had the film script. So, yeah. So when I say I said, I know jolly well I said it because I've got the scripts to see, and to that extent, it was helpful, and the book itself does indeed follow the film. It's hard to say whether this is a film of the book or a book of the film of the book or whatever, if you see what I mean. But anyway, so it's pretty accurate in terms of the people seen and the places seen and what was said by whom.
What are you hoping that people will discover? A better idea of who Marco Polo was, how fantastic the journey is, your experiences?
Yeah, I think you've hit the point there. Today above all, when the big powers seem to be dividing the world up among them, it's most extraordinary what's going on, isn't it? Well, bridge building is above all what Marco Polo did. He was a great bridge builder. He helped, the Silk Road was there. He took advantage of the Silk Road. The Silk Road was there because of the peace brought by the Mongols. We all think of the Mongols as being spear-carrying, arrow-firing warriors, but they set up they opened up the trade routes between Europe, or rather the trade routes already there, but they safeguarded them. Yeah. Marco Polo took advantage of that, so he really was a bridge builder in that sense. And in a sort of modest way, we thought, well, this could be seen as a bit of a bridge-building exercise as well. And maybe it has been. It certainly brought me and the Chinese together. I'm not going to go out there saying, we've got to bomb China to smithereens. You can give them 5 days' notice.
So we've gone from the Pax Mongolia to the Pax Stanley, then, have we, basically?
Pax Stanley. Anyway, lovely to be here.
What are you up to next, Stanley? What's the next project? Because I know you don't like sitting still for long, or you're going to put your feet up.
I've got another book coming out, which is called Our Coastal Heritage, and this is quite an interesting book, and it's going to be published by Nomad Press, and that'll be launched on the 4th of June. This year.
Well, I may well get you back on for that one, sir, in that case, and we can talk about the British coastline.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
This book is called In the Footsteps of Marco Polo. It's by Stanley Johnson. Stanley, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Charles.